welcome everyone, and thanks to our organizers and sponsors. Robert Ingersoll lived to see the theory of evolution published during his adult lifetime. Ingersoll was not a scientist, but he had a great respect for science and for scientists. It is interesting to see the reaction of a free-thinking person to the theory of evolution when it first came out. Today, 151 years after the publication of The Origin of Species, a lot of people still refuse to accept the theory of evolution. I think we can see why that is so from this speech that Ingersoll gave on Charles Darwin in 1884. This century will be called Darwin's century. He was one of the greatest men who ever touched this globe. He has explained more of the phenomenon of life than all of the religious teachers. Write the name of Charles Darwin on the one hand, and the name of every theologian who ever lived on the other, and from that name has come more light to this world than from all of those. His doctrine of evolution, his doctrine of survival of the fittest, his doctrine of the origin of species, has removed in every thinking mind the last vestige of Orthodox Christianity. He has not only stated, but he has demonstrated that the inspired writer knew nothing of this world, nothing of the origin of man, nothing of geology, nothing of astronomy, nothing of nature, that the Bible is a book written by ignorance at the instigation of fear. Think of the men who replied to him. Only a few years ago there was no person too ignorant to successfully answer Charles Darwin, and the more ignorant he was, the more cheerfully he undertook the task. He was held up to the ridicule, the scorn, and contempt of the Christian world. And yet, when he died, England was proud to put his dust with that of her noblest and her grandest. Charles Darwin conquered the intellectual world, and his doctrines are now accepted facts. His light has broken in on some of the clergy, and the greatest man who today occupies the pulpit of one of the Orthodox churches, Henry Ward Beecher, is a believer in the theories of Charles Darwin, a man of more genius than all the clergy of that entire church put together. And yet we are told in this little creed that Orthodox religion is about to conquer the world. It will be driven to the wilds of Africa. It must go to some savage country. It has lost its hold upon civilization. It is unfortunate to have a religion that cannot be accepted by the intellect of a nation. It is unfortunate to have a religion against which every good and noble heart protests. Let us have a good religion or none. My pity has been excited by seeing these ministers endeavor to warp and twist the passages of Scripture to fit the demonstrations of science. Of course, I have not time to recount all the discoveries and events that have assisted in the destruction of superstition. Every fact is an enemy of the church. Every fact is a heretic. Every demonstration is an infidel. Everything that ever really happened testifies against the supernatural. The church teaches that man was created perfect, and that for 6,000 years he has degenerated. Darwin demonstrated the falsity of this dogma. He shows that man has for thousands of ages steadily advanced, that the Garden of Eden is an ignorant myth, that the doctrine of original sin has no foundation in fact, that the atonement is an absurdity, that the serpent did not tempt, and that man did not fall. Charles Darwin destroyed the foundation of Orthodox Christianity. There is nothing left but faith in what we know could not and did not happen. Religion and science are enemies. One is a superstition, the other is a fact. One rests upon the false, the other upon the true. One is the result of fear and faith, the other of investigation and reason. Thank you all.